Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and welcome to our season finale of Talking Taboo. I'm your host, Trista, and with me I have,
Audio's off for me.
huh? And with me I have my co-host, Psych Perspective, and Hasnaa Deanna. I don't think we can hear you, Psych. Okay. Well, he'll be back in momentarily. How do you feel about the ending of our show, Hasna?
Bittersweet.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. I actually
Yeah.
heard you like earlier.
Okay.
So I was just asking Hasna how she was feeling about the coming to the end of our show, and she said bittersweet. How are you feeling, Sai?
Um, it is kind of bittersweet, because we kind of had like a bond, something to look forward to on Sundays to talk and catch up with people. Now it's like back to your lonesome. No, but I think it was a great experience overall. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I want to just say publicly that I thank you all for just being dedicated to this. This really means a lot to me that you all were so, dedicated and dependable. I really appreciate that. I really do. So without
Well, I
further
just want to thank. I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity. Sometimes with podcasts or just you know things in life, people become very selfish and feel like they can do it all on their own. And the fact that you decided to gather some people, and some of us were complete strangers to one another, and
yeah,
came together, and we made it possible. So I thank you for giving us the opportunity to come together and have some of the most uncomfortable,
yeah.
difficult conversations. And it was an honor. I thank you.
Oh, thank you all so much. And I'm glad that everyone was able to do this and gladly accepted the invitation. So I thank you all. And who knows, maybe in the future we'll be able to do something else together. So you never know. With that being said, today our topic is going to be on healing generational trauma. And under this umbrella, we're going to be speaking about a few different things, starting with children's rights, respectful, positive parenting, and closing out with just personal healing. I will be covering the first two segments, and Hassan and Deanna will close us out with the last. So let's go ahead and dive into it, you guys. Okay, the first thing I want to discuss is children's rights. When you think about that word, children's rights, what comes to your mind? And I'm going to start with you, Sight.
When it comes to children rights, what I think about is ultimately is protecting children and their well-being, honoring them, respecting them, listening to them and supporting them in the best ways possible. Um, Basically without doing harm to them.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. I think you took some of my words out of my mouth.
Yeah, mine too.
You have anything you want to add, Hassan, or are you going to leave it?
I do think of fairness. I really do.
Yes.
Fairness, understanding. Um, but Psych took he took it. I feel like he answered that first.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So I'm just going to throw in just that respect. Just that respect. I think oftentimes because children are little people, we don't view them as human. We don't view them as human. So very often, I don't think they get the same respect that a human being should get. So that's what I think of when I think of children's rights, just giving them that respect, because I do believe that that's something that is lacking in our society as it relates to children. So, with that being said, I want you to think about the traditional way of parenting, what you have mostly saw. I don't know, maybe from your own upbringing, from the upbringing of those around you. Um, what let me start there. What issue have you seen from your own upbringing, or just our upbringings as a collective, that you think needs to be changed as as it relates to how children are treated by parents? What do you think is one thing needs to be changed with the traditional way of parenting children?
I personally believe that we need to, start listening more to our
That's
children.
yeah.
I feel like, I know for me growing up, family really didn't listen. They did not. It was like, it was more so, your child, be quiet, stay in a child's place, and a lot of things were going on in my childhood, you
Mhm.
know. So it was like, because nobody really took time to stop and listen, everybody just wanted to bark orders. It was just like, a lot of things could have been prevented.
Mhm.
So I think, if, from what I seen then and now, I think if we take more time to really just listen, to understand and comprehend what our children are saying to us, not just saying, okay, you said this, and is letting it go in one ear and out the other.
Right, right, yeah. Mhm. What would you like to say, Sai, about that?
Everything that you just said, like, nobody is back talking or trying to, feel like we're trying to take over control. We're just, children are just expressing how they feel and what's happening. And if you want your child to feel comfortable with talking to you about stuff that's going on in their lives, you need to be receptive. And you know what I mean? And it's like, also, like, just common courtesy and respect. Like, why are you whooping on kids? Like, you two, three, people be 100 plus pounds bigger than the child and
Right.
be bam, bam, bam. And it's just like, but
Mhm.
It
like,
it gives
if
me
you did
bully
that to an adult,
vibes.
Right.
damn, yes.
It does.
Hmm.
And that's going to go to my next question. Why do you think this focus on power and domination is such needed from a lot of adults? Because you don't see these adults, and I'm not saying all adults won't, but I believe there's some adults who will bully anybody. But for the most part, most adults, they stay in their lane when it comes to other adults. But it's the vulnerable
But
children that they
hmm
take this aggression out on. Why do you think this power is exerted over kids? What's behind
um,
this
I
power?
think what's behind it is that childhood trauma.
Mm-hmm,
So it was, when you were a child, it was being done to you. You had no way to escape. So
mm-hmm,
you had no choice but to take everything that was being done to you. So
mm-hmm,
now that you're an adult, you just remember mentally, it's all there. You remember what was done to you. So now you're projecting that onto somebody else.
mm-hmm,
So I don't necessarily think that it's done on purpose. It's just bad habits.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then some people are just evil though. So it doesn't matter who
Yeah.
you are, how big you are, how small you are. You just have some evil people in the world. But I believe that for those who, a majority of the people that's out there, I don't think it's really like intentional. It really just stems from the childhood trauma and what you've been used to for all these years.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to ask this in a different way, okay? Well, kind of add on to what I asked. Okay, so let's say that you have a parent, right, who basically it is what it is. People may say it's generational, but it's really physically abusing your child. Now, do you think that they really think there's nothing wrong with it, or because if a child were to hit them, then
They
would
would find something wrong with it. It would be
you see what
disrespect.
I'm saying? So my thing is, do
Yeah.
you think that a lot of people actually know what they're doing, or they're more stuck in I'm the parent, I can do as I please? Like,
Psych, you go first.
do you think it's just more that
I
mindset to
think
where
for
we've been
some,
groomed to believe that we're the parents so we can do as we please to children? Does that
yeah, I feel like it's all about power and control. And again, for some people, it really is. I'm the parent. I make the rules, and or I was always told this is my house. You in my house. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to abide by the rules, the structures that they set. And it's like, again, nobody's saying that, children shouldn't respect elders, but elders should respect children. It should be a two-way street. It's like, and a lot of your rules are oppressive and violent. Like, it's dysfunctional. So, yeah. But I feel like some people legit are like, well, my parents raised me this way and my grandparents raised me this way, so I'm going to do it this way too.
Mm-hmm.
And then some people are just naive. Like, they just don't know.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, just because your parents and grandparents raised you that way, that doesn't mean it was correct.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the times you need to, like, of course, I feel like when you know better, you do better. So somewhere in there, you have to learn how to do better.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know, you have to really sit with yourself and say, okay, what did I feel like when this was happening to me?
That's good. Yeah. Because I often wonder that, because I look at it like this, so when this person was the child, they knew that this was wrong. Because oftentimes, I've heard this a lot of times, and even in my mom's situation, once you bring up something that they've done, they will quickly reverse it and make it about them and say, well, this happened to me, knowing that what happened to them was wrong, but
they make it okay.
Right. So it's kind of like, you get what I'm saying? So
is there accountability?
It's amazing how we just wiggle our way out of stuff, twist things up. It's the human mind is just amazing. It is something else. Okay.
Natural
right. Now, of course, nowadays we hear a lot of talk about more respectful and positive parenting. However, I've also seen in a lot of these, under a lot of these posts, let's say if it's a video of someone who's, instead of whipping their child, they're talking to them about, what happened, etc. And you will see a lot of people with that old school mentality. You need to beat their A, you need to do this, you need to do that, basically showing their disapproval of the respectful, positive parenting ways. So it's like they're mostly, finding fault within something that's healthy and beneficial, something that's actually showing children that they are, respected, so to speak. How do you think that or is there anything that you think we can do as people to to more so overcome that when we see something that may go against what we believe or what we've been taught, even though what we've been taught was dysfunctional? What do you think that we can do, or is there anything that we can do to just kind of deal with that?
I would say the only thing that you can possibly do is, put yourself out there to just display ways of healthy parenting.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the times you really don't want to step in too much, because it's one of those things you don't know what's going to come from it.
Yeah.
Especially when it's a stranger. You know what I mean? So it's like the only thing that you can possibly do is like create a platform where you're really trying to put some healthy parenting tips out there and just hope and pray that people are watching. Because I feel like healthy parenting really it comes from healing within yourself and just really knowing who you are, so that you can help your children come into who they're trying to be, not who you want them to be.
Right. That's good.
So,
that's good.
That you like that one, Psyched?
No, that's good, because I was actually listening to some quote unquote, like, people who have studied this stuff a lot, experts, mostly like psychiatrists, psychologists, doctors, pediatricians, early this morning, and they pretty much said the same thing. One lady said that what she often tells her parents is that, this is what she said. She said most people don't really accept their children. They're always making their children feel like they're not enough, because they're not living up to some expectation that they had for them or have for them. And saying the reason that people cannot accept their children is because they have yet to accept themselves. And it makes perfect sense. Parenting to me is simply parenting starts with the parent, in my opinion. So whatever it is that's unhealed within you, you're going to project that outward. So if you have things, if you don't know who you are, you don't like who you are, you're going to project all of that hate and dysfunction
Yep.
into your child. So I'm
Yep.
just thinking, if people can just become aware, I think that's like the first step, just becoming aware. Um, Especially, as you're like projecting, etc., being aware of your own, just inner stuff. I think that's a step in the right direction. If you can just become aware
Hmm.
of your
Yeah,
stuff
because if
going on.
not, you will definitely, and I said this to you guys when we were behind the scenes, like you will find yourself repeating what you don't repair.
Right, right.
You will, because if all you know is being torn down, and if you don't take that time to really like do the work on yourself, like listen, it's being real with yourself. You didn't like how that felt, so you don't want to trickle that on down. So you have to really do the work
Mm-hmm.
and heal things that you didn't even hurt. And like I always say, you're responsible for your healing.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to take that time to heal and become whole again, so you don't repeat the
Yeah.
cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it goes
And
back
I
to
wish
you will
more.
repeat what you don't repair.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, what were you saying, Syke?
I'm just agreeing. I
Oh,
wish more people would consider working on self and healing before procreating. It would just make things.
wouldn't
I'm
that
not
be
saying
so
that you
nice?
can't have
Yes.
children and heal at the same time, but it's like, can we try to just kind of already have that healing going? Because it's like the
Mm-hmm.
child, you just keep projecting, and we just keep having more
Right.
dysfunctional mess.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm in this group, and a young lady posed a question. She's, like in her late 30s, and she was asking the question of, when did you all know that you were ready for kids? So I'm assuming she's one that's intentional. She's trying to plan things out, and nobody had a plan, pretty much. Well, this is what I was pretty much hearing was, well, you're never ready to be a parent. There's no rule book. It's hard, blah, 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 blah. And while I do believe that there's challenges, in my opinion, I look at it this way too. I think everything is going to be hard when you're in shambles within. I don't think that parenting has to be as hard as we make it. When we're not ready for something or prepared for something, it's going to be hard. Think about it like this. Think about a novice nurse, for instance, who's just graduating nursing school versus someone who's been in the game and studied and practiced for 25 years. The one with the 25-year experience is going to be a pro at it. You see what I'm saying? Because they prepared and built up that muscle to function the way that they are. And I think it's the same thing with parenting. If you had a child before you were ready, it's going to be harder versus someone who may have waited to 45 and they may have been working on self. It will be easier for that person. Not saying it's not going to be challenging. I believe everything, dealing with relationships, you're going to have your challenges. But I do believe that parenting doesn't have to be as hard as we make it out to be. That's just something I just think about. Like, is it really hard, or is just you're not ready for it? So
Well, I
that.
feel like with parenting, I feel like with parenting, you, no matter how much you prepare yourself,
Mhm.
you will never really be ready, you
Right.
know.
Mhm.
But you can prepare yourself for the things that you are aware of to make
Mhm.
the transition a little smoother. Because
Right.
it's always going to be you're going to be hit, some blind side is going to like come out of nowhere. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But for overall, it's like doing the work on yourself, healing yourself, becoming a better person, financially stable in certain, in areas and stuff
Yeah,
like that. Having things, it's like
can
a
we?
plan.
Mhm.
You're planning to succeed, not planning to fail. So I
Right.
feel like if a lot of us just take the time instead of rushing into things and
Mhm.
thinking what was ever going on between our legs instead of up here, then we will have a better plan. But parenting overall is just a task.
Right.
And I
Right.
feel like just
Mhm.
being a parent myself, I just feel like you can never really fully prepare for that. But it's ways that you can set the
Make
tone.
it easier. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. And I like to think that, the type of parent you are depicts the type of person you are. Um, so I
Oh,
like to think.
that's good.
Right, I do. I like to think, because you got to think about it. If we're projecting outward, and if you're at a decent place within, when your child come to you with something that you don't want to hear, you can respond different versus get the fuck out of my face. I'll beat your ass, slap you in your face. You see what I'm saying? You have that emotional intelligence and
Mhm.
that regulation
Mhm.
to be able to respond in a way that's not going to traumatize your child or break that relationship trust connection. You see what I'm
And that's
saying?
exactly what I'm experiencing right now because my
Yeah.
daughter, she's getting ready to be 15, April 24th. And she's in that transition stage of her life where she's finding herself.
Mhm.
She's a freshman in high school, so you see a variety of people, um, different shaped girls and the cute guys and all kind of stuff is going on. So it's like a lot of the times I'm having like these uncomfortable conversations that people didn't have with me growing up
Mhm.
because I don't want her to go out there with no experience at all, as
Right.
far as not even having the conversation. So then you go out here and you're rushing to be a part of some things that you have no idea of what you're getting involved in. So it's times where she knows she can come and talk to me about everything. And just recently we had a situation and I was like, oh my God, like I'm sitting on the bed and I'm like, oh Lord. Like even though I always make it to where it's like, come talk to me. But when she came to talk to me, it was like, ugh. But my response was different. And
Right.
I realized that my response was different and it was a healthy response because I've done a lot of work on myself.
Right.
And
Right.
I remember being that 14-year-old girl going through life and not having anyone to just listen to me,
Mhm.
not just trying to tell me what to do and stay in a child's place and what I shouldn't be doing, but they didn't have the talks with me. And then it was just like, well, stay in a child's place. But you don't understand what I'm going through on a daily basis. So,
Right.
I always try to be the parent to her that I wish I had. So
Mhm.
I know that even though I had like a traumatized like childhood,
Mhm.
it's good in me. So my good took over all the things that was done to me. So now
Mhm.
I'm able to heal, move forward, and be a better parent to her.
Mhm. Now, do you all believe that there's certain characteristics that just automatically makes one person a good parent? Because I've just been noticing certain things, and it was something you said as well, Hasna, that just made me think of this. Do you all think that there's just certain characteristics that is just needed across the board for someone to just be a good enough parent? And not a perfect parent, but you have to be a good enough parent to
I
raise a
want to say just more so being a person.
Mhm.
Take parent from it. Just being a good person. Because
Mhm.
when you're a good person, then you only get the title of parent when you become a parent.
Yeah.
Before that, you're just a person. So if you can do good and project good as a person, then when you become a parent, you're just going to use those qualities are going to just travel over to your parenting.
Right. Mhm. That's
And
good.
that's just my opinion, but
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's what I want to hear. Anything else outside?
I do think like there the certain key things that I think about is a person being empathetic,
Yeah.
compassionate, caring, loving, supportive, the nurturing, like like 'cause that's another thing I'll be cracking up in the community. Everybody's like, oh well, you know, we need the nurturing versus nature, or you need sternness. But I feel like a lot of times in our communities, we typically only get tough love. We don't actually get nurturing love.
Right.
That's why people are running around here mean and evil, because again, across the board in our community, it's like, what is like, really, what kind of love are we really giving ourselves
Mhm.
based off of how we are with our children? We get tough love, and that's projected 24/7, and it's like, I want to see more
But
soft
tough love is
parenting.
really abuse.
Right.
tough love really be abuse
Well,
though?
you know,
Like what? What do you call tough love? Like me beating the hell out of you, me cursing
Oh
at you,
yeah,
me jacking you up? That's tough love.
my
Like
yeah.
no, I'm gonna tell you a prime example.
And the fact they
That
got us calling it tough love while you being abused.
right. Because my sister just yelled out, that's toxic love. Like for real. It's toxic as hell. Like today, I wanna and I know my daughter's probably gonna look at me crazy, but I feel like tough love was a situation that just happened right before we got on this live, right? We went, my daughter wanted she wanted seafood. So we go and we get seafood and I put my little order in. But of course I asked her to pay for it. So she not knowing what I'm gonna do on the back end, I can tell her attitude like stirred up a little bit, like, I gotta spend my money. So she goes in, she comes out, she has the bag, and when she gets in the car, I say, how does that feel? Like, are you okay? You good? You done spent your little money on mommy, got me some seafood. And she
Mhm.
looked at me and she rolled her eyes, right? So I said, did you just roll your eyes at me? And she said, Mom, I'm playing. I said, no, you serious, but I got you. So then I said, are you upset? And she said, yeah. And I said, why are you upset? And she said to me, because it's my money. And at that moment, she didn't want to spend her money on me,
Mhm.
right? So in return, I said to her, well, I go to work every day. I pay the bills. And then every time I turn around, you have your hand out. You want something. You're asking me, Mom, can I have? Mom, can I get? You're ready to go on a cruise. And all you have to do is show up and have a good time. You don't have to worry about how it's getting paid, spending money. You don't have to worry about any of that. That's all going to fall on me. So
Mhm.
as I'm sitting there talking, she looks at me and she's just staring at me. I said, oh, so do you think I'm going to be upset when I go and spend my money on you? And she said, yeah. I said, no, I'm not, because this is what I choose to do. Now, I'm responsible for you and I have to clothe you and feed you, but I don't have to take you on a cruise. I don't have to buy those $300 pair of sneakers you want. I don't have to send you extra money just because. You get what I'm saying? So now as I'm running those things down to her, now her face is like easing up a little bit because we're having that conversation. So I said all of that to say, to me, that would be tough love. I don't have to put my hands on you, or I don't have to disrespect you and make you feel less than. I use that moment as a teaching moment.
Mhm.
So even though I was a little stern in my voice, it was still out of love because I was able to teach her something
Mhm.
in that moment. So a lot of the times, like in our culture, we think tough love is really, oh, I'm gonna whip you behind. When
Mhm.
all you really have to do is have a conversation
Right. Yeah.
and
Yeah,
point out some
yeah.
facts. And I left a lot out of that story because I just wanted to make it short. But it's like I would consider that a tough love moment because do you think I always want to go out here and spend money on you? Do you think that I don't want to save money for myself? I go without all the time to make sure you have. So if the little $20 that you just spent made you upset, well, think about the thousands of dollars that I spend that I don't even want to spend half the time, but I
Yeah.
do it. You get what I'm saying? So that for me, that was like a tough love moment.
Mhm. Yeah. What now listen, this is what I want to ask next. Okay. If you could change one thing in the world as it relates to um, the traditional parenting, what would that be?
Mm.
I was be looking at how psych you looking like.
I know, right?
I,
I can't look at him when you ask
I,
certain questions. I turn my head.
I think for me it would be the nuclear setup. I feel like things would be easier if people just had a community support to help them raise their children and to
Mhm.
also help them, be parents. You had communal support versus this whole idea that you're isolated and it's just the four of you or however many people are in your immediate family.
Yeah, yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That was a good answer. I think I'm gonna just go with him on that answer because I'm a little stuck. But that was a good point, because I do see that back in the day when it took a village, you know how we say it take a village to raise children, and it really does. You cannot do this on your own. You need strong people behind you. And just thinking about like the era of my grandparents and stuff like that, they really had a village.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Yeah.
don't have that now. Now it's just like, don't say anything to my child. My child didn't do this. It's always that type of energy. So I would have to agree with Psych on that.
Yeah, yeah. And this just came to my mind what I wanted to add when we were speaking of what we believe, what type of qualities would make a good enough parent for a child. And what I think, and I think that this is going to come more so with what Hasna is about to speak on next, but having parents who are emotionally attuned. I think that is good. But however, I think that comes with the empathy that Psych was talking about. You have to have empathy, and you have to be at a decent level within, emotionally intelligent, be able to regulate your emotions. You have to be at a decent place within yourself. And you have to, first be in tune with your own emotions, not one of those people to where you're to ask you a question and you're telling them to shut up and sit down because you don't want to talk about things or deal with things. That's not
Hmm.
going to cut it. That's not a parent who's attuned, and that's not, a parent that could be beneficial in that type of sector. But I think definitely that emotional attunement is so important. I was watching a video earlier, and they were speaking about how attending to your baby's needs are so important. I know oftentimes we think, look at this little baby, he or she don't know what I'm saying, but children feel. They
Hmm.
feel whether a parent really cares about them by how you're responding to their needs, how you're interacting with them. And even children can feel when their parents are like depressed, etc. So there was a lot of talk about, even if you're dealing with depression or whatever type of, issues that can make your moods dysregulated, so to speak, to make sure that you're working on that, because children can feel when you're dealing with emotional issues. And I think that was my like issue as a child. I was able to feel a lot, and I think that kind of placed me in the role of parenting as well, because I was so empathetic to where I was able to connect, and I knew that things were off. However, but if you have a healthy parent, that parent is able to say, hey, this is not your responsibility. You stay and be a child and enjoy your life. But you need a parent who's mature enough to say that. And in my opinion, I don't think a lot of parents are emotionally mature to the place to where they can sit their child down and say, this is not your responsibility. I got this. A lot of them, they're enjoying the child taking care of their needs, and that should
Hmm.
not be. So I think that emotional maturity and attunement is so important, because within those early years, that's what determines our attachment style. I would say, like the first 5 years of life determines your attachment style. If you can really be attuned to your child within those first couple of years, I think you can kind of relax after that, to a degree. But those first 5 years are so crucial. But then when I think about it, I remember sharing this with a young lady, and she was like, because I was telling her, I was like, well, if I, did have kids or whatever, I would make sure that, I'm not working. I want to be as attuned as possible. So if that means taking a couple years off the focus, hey, my child's health is worth that. You see what I'm saying? Me setting aside time to do what I need to do for them, to make sure that they could have a good start. And she was like, that child is going to drive you crazy. A lot of people are against that. A lot of people feel like you're going to spoil a child. That's what she said. You're going to spoil a child by picking them up and basically responding to their needs. You're going to
You
spoil a child. That's a bad mindset that we have. I know in our community, that if you tend to a child too much, you're going to spoil them. It's like we're just totally against nurturing. But again, a lot of us weren't nurtured. So, but yeah, definitely that emotional attunement. But I don't really think a lot of people, yeah, you have to do some work in order to get to that place. I like to think that some people are born naturally attuned, and I think that those people do make better parents. But however, even if you were born with it, you can still do damage if you are not aware.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so with that
Mhm.
being said, I'm going to turn it over to you, Hasna, for you to go forward with, for you to go forward and take it over for here and close us out as we talk about healing.
Okay. So so healing right now is like my life revolves around it.
Hmm.
At this current moment, it's so crazy because my phone has been going off all week, and every conversation that I've had this week, it was someone who is real, like people in a broken place and just trying to figure it out. And
Yeah.
for whatever reason, they have been sent my way, you
Hmm.
know. And I don't know if it's because I take this journey so serious because it's very important. For me, a little backstory of how I got here. Um, Childhood was crazy. Um, from a very young age to late in my teens, I was molested by a family uncle. Um, and it was like everybody who knew of the situation protected him.
Hmm.
So it was things that I went through from that. Then my father wasn't always a big, hands-on person in my upbringing. I had an amazing stepfather. Um, my mother had great men in her life that took on their role in having our backs and stuff like that. But as time went on, boom, here's adulthood, and I'm just all messed up in the head. I'm getting in relationships that aren't really healthy. People are taking advantage of me. Friendships really not good because everybody, is using and abusing. And
Hmm.
of course, when you go through that stage of that's all you're used to, the abuse part, then you allow people to just do what they do.
Yeah.
So it came a point in time in my last relationship, I knew that enough was enough. I had stayed for 12 years before I realized that enough was enough. So, with that being said, of course, some people be like, oh, 12 years, abuse, you went through this, that, and a third, but they don't understand that you find yourself in situations because of your own mental. You
Hmm.
don't know if you're not in a healthy mental space, you will be stuck in situations and you feel like you're trapped when actually all you have to do is get up and walk away. But
Right.
it doesn't, it coming out
Right.
your mouth, it seems that easy,
Hmm.
but when you're in it, it's not easy at
Yeah.
all. So I knew that from my last relationship, once we separated, I knew that I had to take time and really do some serious work on myself. I had to be real with myself. I had to get deep down and dirty. And I noticed that in healing, a lot of people, healing is a choice. You
Yeah.
have to want this. You have to really like you have it. Life will have you in a place where you're just fed up and you don't know what else to do, but you know something needs to happen. You don't know what that something is. You just know it needs to happen and it needs to happen fast.
Yeah.
So for me, it was that healing. I knew I needed to heal from things that tore me apart. I mean, tore me up so bad that I don't even know. I can't even tell you how I made it from one point to the next. That's how bad it was. So um as I started this journey, I began to just be real with myself. So I would encourage anyone as you're going through this healing process of whatever it is in your life, wherever you are in your life, you have to be real with yourself. You have to first acknowledge that it's something wrong.
Hmm. Yeah.
Something is wrong. I'm not sure exactly what it may be in total, but something is wrong. So, with acknowledging what my problems were, I knew that I couldn't do it all at once. I had to pick piece by piece by piece because each piece needed attention and it needed close attention, not a brush over. I had to really pay attention to it. So, as going on this healing journey, I have done that. And I have like with the abuse from my aunt's ex-husband, I was able to reach out to him because I really wanted to heal from the things that were hurting me. And I know everybody's healing don't look the same. We all heal in different ways. Some people will never be able to face their abuser. Some people don't have the strength to face their abuser. Some people is a trigger point. You get what I'm saying? So you have to know what works for you. Everything don't work for everybody. That's another thing in healing. You have to know what works for you.
Right.
And for me, I'm just like head on. Like I don't know what it is. It's like when I feel like I gotta do it, I'm going straight to the source. So for me, I reached out to my abuser and I wanted to have a conversation with him. At first I wanted to have this conversation with my aunt and she wasn't ready. And it wasn't the easiest thing for me to just accept that she wasn't ready. But as I sat back and I thought about it, I don't know what she's doing to herself on a regular, like if she's being honest with herself or wherever her journey is in life. So I had to respect her journey, but I knew that I had to complete my own. So with that being said, long story short, I reached out to my abuser, had a conversation with him. The conversation went amazingly well, surprisingly. He expressed that he was extremely sorry for all the things that he put me through. And, mentally he's very ill and physically he's ill. And he even made a statement of maybe I'm going through everything that I'm going through in life now because of the things that I put you through as a child that was so unfair to you. So I was able to, it was like the sympathy and the empathy just went together at that time because I knew that I don't know what he's praying for. And I believe healing goes both ways. I don't believe in one side healing. So I don't know what he's praying for and asking God to forgive him or whoever, he worships or whatever. Like, I don't know what he's been asking for. So I felt like on my end, I just knew that I wanted to heal. I wanted to be whole. And my friend, she has like this slogan where is whole is the goal. So it was like, whatever made me whole, that's what I wanted to be. That's what I want to be. I want to just be free of anything that was holding me bondage. So, and then she has another slogan, difficult but doable. Anything is possible. Yes, in life, we will be hit with so many things. But when you really think about it, anything that is difficult, it is doable and anything is possible.
Right.
So, on this healing journey, it's just been amazing. It has allowed me to be a better person. I remember just being so angry at a point in time because I was not healed. So it would be good people put in my space, but I'm so angry that I don't even know how to treat the good people. I'm treating them as if they were the ones who did something to me. Even as a parent, I knew that I had to be a better parent. I wanted to be better than what my parents were to me. So in order to do that, I really had to dig deep into the issues. I really had to repair so that I wouldn't repeat. Because I knew that repeating that cycle of what was taking place with me, it can do some damage in the long run. And I didn't want to be the person that God blessed me with a beautiful gift and I destroyed that gift.
Yeah.
And a lot of parents don't realize that when you do not heal, you are toxic for your children.
Yeah.
You are toxic for them. You watch some of these parents and they're just yelling and screaming and cursing and fussing and fighting, and it's just like, oh, it's deeper than what's visible to the eye. Because how do you talk to something or someone you gave birth to like this? How do you treat an individual that God allowed you to carry and then some women who can't conceive and stuff like that. Then you have
Right.
children who are put in your life. I have children that were put in my life. And what do I look like having these beautiful blessings and then I'm mistreating them? All
Yeah.
because I haven't taken the time to heal what once hurt me. So my question to you guys with that, and that was a long backstory, but I wanted to share that with you guys so that you can also see that I live this. You know what I mean? I'm just not one who want to talk about it. Like, this is my daily life. I remember days where I'm looking in the mirror and I don't like what I see. And I'm not talking about the physical aspect. I'm talking about what's inside. I can look in the mirror and clearly see that I don't like what's inside of me. I'm broken. I don't like that I'm so angry. I don't like that my smile is not genuine. I want to genuinely be able to walk out my door and smile and know that I don't have to fake it. I faked so many years. I didn't want to fake anymore.
Yeah.
So my question to you guys is, when you think of the word heal or healing, what comes to mind?
Um, okay, for me, I used to like using the word healed. However, I like healing better because I do believe that it's a constant journey and process. But I do believe that over time, we get stronger in certain areas and better in certain areas. And I do believe that certain things, depending on what it is, you can be healed from certain things. But I like to think of just a healing journey, it's a constant thing. Um, for instance, let's say, okay, I might have had an obsession with bad boy street guys. Okay. Now I do believe that once you start doing inner work, etc., then eventually you can be healed from being attracted to those type of guys and you want something, better, etc. So I do believe you can be healed in certain areas, but I do think that healing is more of a journey, if that makes sense, especially if you're healing from trauma. I like to think that once the damage has been done, it's done. So you can never,
Mm-hmm.
I don't personally think you can ever go back to how you could have been. But I do think like how my therapist used to say it. Once you've dealt with trauma from, we're talking about more, childhood. For instance, that's like a stab in your arm. You're going to still have that wound and you're going to have that scar. So the scar ain't going nowhere. You're going to always have, it's always going to kind of be there, so to speak. But I think you can learn to kind of cope with, and move. You can move in a better direction, but I don't think you're ever going to be 100% what you could have been had you not experienced that. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's always going to be a part of you in some type of way.
Yeah. And I will say, piggyback off of that, before I ask Psych what it means to him, is that that's true because one thing about a womb is a constant reminder. But
Right.
what I do like, what I love about scars
Mhm.
is that when you look at a scar, you think of the process, the healing process. And if you take care of the scar correctly, or the womb, I'm sorry, if you take
Mhm.
care of the womb correctly, it can also turn into a beautiful scar.
Right.
And with that beautiful scar is a reminder of where you were and where you are. And I like things like that. I have a scar on my shoulder from actually being bit in my back from my ex-husband. And
Mm.
I remember I used to be so embarrassed of the scar that I would always try to hide it up. I'm trying to cover it because I don't want anybody to ask me a question. I don't want anyone to say, what's that? What happened? Because I
Mhm.
don't want to tell the backstory.
Yeah.
But then when I look at where I am today, I look at that scar and I'm proud of it. And what makes me proud is because I'm not where I used to be.
Mhm.
So it's a reminder for me that you were once here, but now you're here and you're in a better place. So if you can make it out of that, you can
Mhm.
make it out of anything. So my scars are really reminders of journey that I have traveled to be where I am today.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm going to add too, because it's like, I think about the pressure that we may feel, because I know I've been there too, the pressure when you look at things in a certain way. Like, think about the word healed versus healing. The word heal makes
Mhm.
it feel like, oh, I have to, get it done, I have to be on it. But when you think of
Mhm.
healing, and oh, it's a
You can
process.
take your time. It's a process.
Right. So our words do matter. And
Mhm.
I'm glad that I had that change of thought, because it's like, what, I felt like I was putting pressure on myself to do something that more than likely probably don't even exist in a lot of areas. But when you look at
Mhm.
it as a process on your journey, that it feels much
Mhm.
better. So yeah.
It does.
Mhm.
And Psych, same question to you. What does healed or healing mean to you?
Um, Basically what you both mentioned, both stated, I feel like healing is an ongoing process. So I like healing over healed. I personally don't think I'm healed. I mean, I just feel like I'm healing and I'm unlearning toxic ways and learning healthier coping, positive coping mechanisms. And then I'm also learning about myself and kind of getting back to pieces of that innocence that was taken away, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I'm healing. I think it's funny because it's like, I'm about to be 30 this year, and everyone's like, well, we getting older, and I feel like really we're just now
Getting
walking.
started.
Like,
That's
Mm-hmm.
you was crawling this whole time, you just
it.
now here. So yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. I like that Psych said that because I feel that way too. Once I started my journey, I feel like life is just beginning. Like I feel like it's like an adventure that I'm kind of waiting to see what's going to happen next. You see what I'm saying? Because I feel like I'm
Mm-hmm.
just now starting to really truly live and understand it. You see what I'm saying?
And
So
that's
it
how
don't bother
I'm
me.
feeling like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm feeling like that now. I really believe that going on this healing journey,
Yeah.
um, it's been beautiful. I mean,
Hmm.
it of course the journey is ugly though. Like when
Hmm.
it takes a lot to really get there and have to be real with yourself and have to acknowledge and accept. You know that acknowledge and accept thing. Woo! It'll have you all messed up in the head. But when you really think of the beauty that will come out of just the healing journey, it's something that I really like. I want so many people to
Hmm.
experience it because when you experience that, it's like you feel like you could just take on the world. And I don't mean take on the weight of the world. I mean, you just want to get out there and you want to see everything
Yeah.
that the world has to offer. And that's where I am in life now. And I knew that healing was so important and that this journey was so important because my daughter witnessed a lot of things that took place. So I knew that I had to go on this journey for the both of us.
Hmm.
And I have to drag her along on this journey and have to show her that it's a healthy way to life after witnessing so many traumatic things.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. Like we're going on a cruise this weekend coming up, and we're going to
Hmm.
be away for about 7 days. And I'm so excited for us both because it's like we get to do this together. We
Hmm.
went through hell together, and now we are healing and going on different journeys together and seeing the world together. And that's a beautiful thing because not a lot of people get to bounce back from the trauma and things like that. So going, I always say, life is a journey, it's not a destination.
Hmm.
We will forever go throughout life learning new things if we apply ourselves. We're going to learn new things. It's going to be a constant thing of healing from something else because life is going to hit you with things and you be like, damn, now I'm dealing with this. But I do believe that when you go through life and you've been hit with so many curveballs, when certain things take place in your life in this new place, you deal with it differently.
Hmm.
So going on the healing journey allows you to deal with hardships a little different. They don't stress you out as much.
Hmm.
It's like you're not so worried about, what's going to come from it. It's just like, you know what, hey, it can't be no worse than what I've been through. You know what I mean? So you really do, you open up and you deal with things differently. Um I don't know, like
Hmm.
I feel like I'm talking a lot, so I'm kind of like
You
I
good?
don't know. Do y'all have any questions? Like what?
You know what I was thinking when you were talking about the trip that you and your daughter are going on? What I was just thinking about, because we were talking about kind of like respectful, positive parenting earlier, I was going to say, even for those out there who are parents and may have had their children before they were ready, may have traumatized them, etc., you healing and working on yourself can benefit your child, even if that child is an adult.
Yeah.
People don't think of it like that, but it is never, some things it's too late for, but it's never too late to leave a somewhat of a positive impact. Because like just looking at my situation, like I'm almost like 38, well, I am 38, almost 40. And just thinking about it, like even though your parents may be up in their 60s or 70s, you're still not too old to heal, and that's going to have an effect on your children and can change the trajectory of how they're dealing with their children, because I'm pretty sure they've probably traumatized their kids too if you traumatize them. But what I'm saying is it can change the course of the family lineage. Even if damage has already been done, it can still have some type of impact if you would just
Hmm.
start working on your healing. People don't, I don't think a lot of people understand, but it's never too late to leave some type of positive imprint.
Yes, and
Yeah.
it helps because I know when I look back now where I am in life, I sometimes I whew, I look through journals and stuff, and I'm like, damn, I was messed up.
Mm-hmm.
I think about conversations and how my mother and I used to be, and it was toxic. But
Mm-hmm.
now with being in this on this healing journey, we have a beautiful relationship. Like I'm able to help my mother heal in places that she never spoke of.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because she was once a child who went through things, who wasn't able to talk to anyone or nobody gave her guidance and stuff like that. And not because they didn't want to, but they didn't know how either. So it tends to be like a generational thing. So
Mm-hmm.
because nobody is doing the work to heal
Mm-hmm.
or go into that healing process. So I've been able, I look at my healing journey and it just makes me proud of myself because I decided to step up
Mm-hmm.
and to take care of myself.
Yeah.
You know, I was always one to just give to others and have all the best advice for everybody else. But when it came to me, I always was stuck.
Mm-hmm.
I always was stuck. And I remember saying to my sister, like, I need to connect with some people that can feed me, that can help me fill my cup
Mm-hmm.
because I'm pouring. And the more that I pour out, now my cup is running on E. So now what do I have? Because I can't go to the people that I'm pouring into
Yeah.
because we're on different levels right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's been groups that I've been a part of. I've been on like retreats and stuff like that, surrounded around beautiful women and just whole is the goal for us. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like I thank my friend all the time for creating that setting and God giving her that vision because I'm able to now connect with people
Mm-hmm.
to help me fill my cup so that I could continue to pour into other people.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what we have to remember. Like, as we go on these journeys, we have to set healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries are they're very important.
And
You have
say
to
it.
set those boundaries. And a lot of people will not agree to it because they're so used to you allowing them to get away with whatever they were doing to you. And the minute that you create healthy boundaries and the minute that you go on this journey and you're learning to say no, you will have people saying, "Oh, you're different." Well, yes, that's the point of this healing. I need to be different because if I stay the same, then I'm going to end up still hurt and my cup is still going to be empty.
Mm-hmm.
So now, just as much as I'm putting out, I need to make sure I'm filling myself up as well so that I can continue to be whoever God is calling me to be. You get
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? So that has been a big thing within my healing journey too, just being good to myself. I started giving myself the same love that I was giving everyone else to heal them and make them whole.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like that's where I am personally in life is an everyday thing.
Mm-hmm.
Every day I'm speaking life into myself. Every day I'm trying to do something that's going to make me a better person. Not just for myself, but everyone that's connected to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it even goes as far as I guess some may call me extra, but it even goes as far as my marriage. I knew that my husband, whoever, because I always knew I was going to get married again. And I always said, whoever my husband will be, he doesn't deserve the broken version of me.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't deserve that. I deserve, he deserves, and I deserve it myself to be whole again.
Mm-hmm.
So now when this person comes into my life, I'm able to give him a healed version of myself, not
Wow.
the broken version of myself. And I knew that whoever I married, they had to be good, not only for me, but for everybody that was connected to me, because
Right.
that's important to me.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
you have to know what's
I,
important to you.
and I like that you said that because it was something I was either watching or reading. I be watching all kind of stuff, but like if sometimes watching or reading that said that like as far as our attachment issues, etc., that they can be healed in healthy relationships. And I think that's why it's so important to make sure that we're connected to people that can feed us. Because if
Mm-hmm.
we're not, if we're still stuck into these harmful relationships, that can do more damage on top of what's already done. Like you're trying to change this attachment style or come out, but it ain't going to happen because
Mm-hmm.
you're surrounded by people who are beating you down more than keeping you at that level. But if you have someone who's more like people like to say a divine partner, whatever, however you want to say it, but somebody that can relate and get you and you get each other, that person can help you to go higher in your healing journey. And I think that's, oh my God, so important. We probably should talk about that too with the parenting issues, but it's so important who you connect with and have children with, because that's going to determine the trajectory of a lot of things. So I think, oh, just off of what you said, Hassan, dealing with self-healing, connecting with the right partners, and having children after that, because a lot of children get caught in the crossfires of parental mess. Right?
Damage.
It's crazy. So it's so important to be connected to someone that you can actually grow with, before like having these kids. So that's so important.
Psych, do you have anything you want to add to
it? Y'all pretty much wrapped it up. I mean, I was just like, yes, in my head the whole time. Y'all wrapped it up well. I mean, we're breaking generational trauma. You have to heal for self, and then when you're healing for self, you're also healing for others, because people, they're going to benefit from a healthier you, and you're definitely going to benefit from a healthier you. And I'm going to say this too, them boundaries, I didn't learn about boundaries until I started going to therapy and counseling and healing, because previously I was just getting used up. Used up. Now I'm guarding my cup, like, no, you don't get to have any more sips. So
and that's what will happen if you don't set healthy boundaries, because you find yourself, I wasn't in that 12-year relationship of abuse just because I wanted to be there. I didn't know any better. Like, for me, I'm thinking of childhood trauma that I had to cope with for years, found a way to deal with it, and now I'm an adult and I'm dealing with the same stuff, just on a different level, if not worse. But I stayed for so long because I had no boundaries. I felt like, because you said to sorry today that sorry made it okay, and now where do we go from here? But now with setting boundaries and standing on them, because sometimes we set boundaries and then we break all the time. No, you have to set them, and you have to put your foot on the neck and be like, nope, I'm not letting up. No matter how you feel or what you think, I'm not letting up. So you have to, like, keep your foot on your own neck sometimes, because when you know better, you do better. And if you know better and you don't do better, that's on you at that point. Whatever comes from what's going on, you can't blame anyone but yourself. So Trisha, with all that being said, I'm going to turn it back over to you. And you can take us right on where you need to take us.
Oh.
You can take it.
Oh, thank you all. Thank you all so much. This has been a great conversation. And, we're going to go out with the bang. What am I saying?
Look, get your drink. We toasted. Listen, okay? Yes.
Okay. Well,
man, that was a good one. I caught her so off guard. No, we are putting this ball back in your court, because I'm gonna tell you this. I had to get a good laugh out of us. I say we were just like so in tune. It was a serious conversation, but I just really want to thank you. You have given me, I don't know if you know it or not. Okay, let me get serious for a minute again. Okay. So I don't know if you know it or not, but you have given me a push. I have some people on the back end that are also pushing me, but I really thank you for this moment right here, because people don't realize that I'm really a shy person. I'm very outspoken, but I know where the direction that I'm going in, I can't afford to be shy, because I really have to open up, and I have to connect with people, and I have to share my story, and I have to get this out there, because there's so many people who think that they are alone, and they're the only ones that think this way. And some of the things that we have talked about and discussed on this platform, it has been so helpful to me, firstly and foremostly. So I feel like, with having this moment and having this platform, and you just reaching out because you just like how I am and how open I speak, and how I just, I'm being my authentic self. And I thank you for not making me choose who I had to be.
Mm-hmm.
You allowed us to get together and just wanted all of us to be who we are. So
Right.
I really do thank you for this moment, this platform, what you have like come up with, your great ideas, your great topics, because you really did that. Time in and time out. Like we showed up and we all just gave what we could.
Mm-hmm.
But it was this was your vision and you brought your vision to life. And I'm so happy that I was able to be a part of it.
Oh, I really appreciate that. I really do. Um, One thing I just keep hearing, like just as it relates to healing, is that, people connect more to authenticity. And all of us had different, situations going on in different stories. And I just think that's so important, for people to hear. What we all been through that was different. And I think when we're open and more honest about what we've been through and, even our struggles, etc., that's easier for people to connect to. And that's why I wanted to make sure that I had you all on there, because like Psych, I follow your videos and you're real and just raw with it. And I think that's why everybody really love you too, because you're easy to connect with.
Mm-hmm.
Hasnaa, I felt the same with you just by looking at things that you would post. That's kind of what I gauged you on. And with Neshia, just knowing her, she's always been kind of upfront and honest about everything that she's been through, even with parenting struggles, etc. She'll be honest about, just, okay, if I've done this, oh, I shouldn't have done, just real with it. And that's what we need. That's what people need to hear. People are able to connect with that. So I think in order for people to first heal, we have to be honest. We have to be honest. And um, I think a lot of people, because a lot of us living in denial about our situations, it's uncomfortable for us to go there. And unfortunately, in order to go forward, I like to think that a lot of situations, now this may not be everybody's situation, but a lot of our situations do stem from, cycles repeating itself. So we have to go back to our childhood. Sometimes you have to look at, the relationship that you had with mama, daddy's family, whoever. And a lot of people are scared to death to go back to that place. And I personally like to think that, a lot of people just may not know, or a lot of people are just afraid to go there emotionally. But you can't truly move forward if you don't do something. So more than likely, you would be that person to repeat cycles. I mean, it's just is what it is. And I think that so many people are healed and overcome by the sharing of testimonies. So I just think all of this was just so necessary. So necessary.
Yes, I agree.
For it all.
I agree.
Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity. I mean, to be on a podcast for basically January, February, March, like that's 3 months of work, and just the conversations were amazing. The platform, and it's just a nice opportunity. So thank you again, because I would have never thought I would have met y'all and been vibing and communicating like this. Who knows? There might be another season. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
there might be another
we'll stay
season.
tuned. Right.
Coming to a platform near you.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
y'all can go on and sponsor us too. We're gonna be on Patreon.
Okay.
Right.
You know what? I would love for us to come back in like maybe 3 months or so
Mm-hmm.
and just see where we all are in our lives at that moment.
Uh-huh.
Because I do believe that this moment right here has like it has created some great things
Mm-hmm.
in us to go
Oh,
forth
yeah.
and do more than what we were already doing.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know this right here, it kind of opened me up to like, okay, girl, because now I'm
Right.
trying to I'm trying to plan my own event and
That's good.
reach out and grab the hands of other
Do
women
it.
who are broken and
Mhm.
hurt and all kind of stuff. Because I'm like, okay, I have another another amazing woman in my life, and she always tell us like, you came out with something to say.
Right.
Like you didn't go through this to be quiet. You came out with something to say.
Yeah.
So this is my moment right here of something to say. And
Right.
because of this platform, it has helped me push
Mm-hmm.
forward.
Yeah.
If fear is no longer holding me back, because it takes like courage to get in front of the screen
Right.
every week. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not the
Yeah.
easiest thing to do because the world is seeing this, whether they watch it now or if they go back and view it, they can still, you're being seen. So it's
Hmm.
not the easiest thing to, get on a platform and just show, the vulnerable side of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's so true. So, with that being said, I want to thank you all again and my viewers, our viewers. Let me correct that. Our viewers who are watching, who stay tuned in and connected every week with us. We definitely appreciate you all for your support. And, check out Chain Breakers Talk Show. Make sure to like and follow our page. So, if we do decide to do something else, then you'll be the first to know. So make sure that you follow us and stay connected to get those notifications. So, with that being said, I'm going to do a Mr. Rogers. Until next time.
Until next time, kids. I'm just